good questions, and truthfully, 25 minutes is plenty. I've presented in smaller windows, and I think that will be plenty of time to kind of address all these questions and present the opportunity. I've got a non-NDA required slide deck prepared, and I can read off that, and it kind of hits on all these items that you guys were kind of curious about that you wanted to make sure that they were covered. So just so I have that list correctly, it was how to reply, prerequisites, and what's in it for us. Was there another question, or is that okay? Perfect. So how to apply? Relatively easy. I'll add it in the chat right here, but it's just our landing page, logistics.amazon.com. From there, you'll be able to log into the portal. I'll add some color during the presentation of what that application process looks like. Fair warning, the initial application is pretty lengthy. It can take sometimes between 3 and 4 hours. There is a credit check and there is a background check. But that's what the process is. In terms of prerequisites, and this is where it may be a sticking point, so I just want to kind of be forthright in what we're looking for is, first and foremost, hands-on owner-operators that are going to be dedicated within the station. So I know the theme of the presentation for your guys' conference is diversity. So just want to make sure that you guys are aware that we are looking for hands-on owner-operators that would be dedicating their time to this opportunity. It can be, especially in the beginning, 7 days a week, 12-plus-hour days. Once you get to steady state, you're still expected to have kind of a daily presence within the station. But just wanted to be clear there, and you guys can certainly discuss afterwards to see if this is still a good fit. But that's what we're looking for. Outside of that, the opportunity entails managing 40 to 100-plus delivery associates, operating 20 to 40-plus vehicles. You're operating out of a single delivery station. The delivery station itself is owned by Amazon, so that's what's unique about this opportunity. It sounds like a franchise, but you get a lot of these resources and value-added services and preferred vendors lined up, so you don't have to do a lot of the initial work of kind of going it on your own. We have a preferred vendor for the branded vehicles that you lease the vehicles from. The volume is taken care of, so you don't have to worry about sales or advertising from that perspective. So it's really kind of a business in a box. And during the onboarding process, you are linked up with a business coach who helps you throughout your 2 weeks of trainings, through your onboarding, and during your ramp-up process, which takes anywhere between 2 and 3 months once you actually do launch and start delivering packages. The big thing that we're looking for, outside of kind of the owner-operator mindset, you need to be an individual that's capable of recruiting and managing a large team of hourly workers. We're looking for folks that truly hire and develop the best. That's one of Amazon's leadership principles and one of our tenets that we certainly look for. Outside of that, you need to have pretty strong financial acumen. It's a multi-million-dollar P&L when fully scaled up. I'm going to be speaking to business owners, so probably not a huge concern there with your audience. I know there's three previous limo owners in my area. I cover kind of the New England territory, and it seems to be a really good fit based off their background. So those are kind of the main things that we're looking for. In terms of startup capital required, we estimate startup cost to be around $10,000. Prior to receiving a formal offer, you do need to show liquid assets of $30,000. So the reason that we're asking for $30,000 is even though the $10,000 startup cost, which Amazon doesn't take a dime of, that's just what we estimate what the startup costs would be from purchasing the devices, the down payments on the vehicles, floating the first payroll, things of that nature. The reason why we ask for $30,000 is, we understand people have to put food on the table. They've got mortgage payments, they've got car payments, so we don't want to put people in difficult positions there. So that is checked at the very end of the process, right before you receive a formal offer. So people don't need to, take out a loan or do anything, significant just during the initial application process. So that's kind of the prerequisites there. In terms of what's in it for the owners, if they do pursue this opportunity, there is a profitability range listed on our website. it is between $75,000 and $300,000. So I wouldn't get too wrapped up or concerned solely with the numbers. I think the big thing is first, is this an opportunity that is something that I am interested in? As you kind of progress through the application process, that's when you can learn more and more about the details of the program. And then once you receive a formal offer, either myself or the other corresponding business development manager would do a full P&L review with you so you understand what the opportunity fully entails. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Is there anything that I could go into deeper or anything that I could help clear up?
I think for myself, did you just say it was between 75,000 and 300,000 as a net?
Yes, net profit.
That just seems like a very wide gap. Like, what's the difference between the 75 and up to 300? What's the difference there, or what defines the range?
Yeah, absolutely. So that range, totally understand where you're coming from. Probably brings up more questions than answers. Where did that even come from? So that profitability range is outlined completely on our website. So that is the profitability range from solely the profit center of delivering the packages between 20 and 40 routes. So it doesn't take into account a lot of other aspects of this opportunity, but that's just kind of a high level range in terms of expectations so people know what the opportunity entails.
About the geographical areas that are available, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of operators on from all over the country. I'm sure that every area is not available. How do we know? How do you know? If somebody's located in a good fit where they're looking for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So generally speaking, there would be a bit of a waiting list if you were applying in the Southeast or Texas, up through the Carolinas. Generally, this is just kind of a more compelling opportunity for folks in that area. But our website does list the current availability of stations across the country, and even if there isn't an opportunity right off the bat, it's very fluid. We've got 1,500 plus DSPs across the network right now. We're looking to rapidly expand. COVID actually took a hit in terms of some of our real estate planning. A lot of buildings did get pushed back just from the domino effect of maybe we didn't get the permitting that gets pushed out a month, and maybe an electrician's union is deemed non-essential, so that could kind of kick the can down the road. So we are rapidly expanding the program. If there's not an opportunity in your immediate area, there could be in the future. And once you're accepted into the program, that's when myself or the corresponding BDM peels back the curtain and lets you know exactly what's coming down the pipeline, so you can plan accordingly and put a timeline in place on your end. So yeah, the delivery stations itself kind of dot the entire country, more so in kind of the more densely populated areas, but it is growing and rapidly expanding.
If I missed it, what was if I was to apply now, did you say you would be trucks on the road at the estimated when?
Yeah, great question. So from the initial application, there's a few steps in the interview process. So once you submit your application, it's about a 2-week turnaround whether you find out if you're onto the next step or not. The next step is a video interview, very similar to kind of like a Zoom call. You'll receive behavioral question prompts and submit your responses. That takes about another 2 weeks before you hear back, and then that would be the final round of the interview. It used to take place in person. We'd fly out to either Las Vegas or Atlanta and kind of have a large-scale interview event. With COVID, safety's top of mind, so we actually do this virtually through our internal program, Amazon Chime. Again, very similar to Zoom. So, everyone has become tech savvy and now in today's day and age, so should be an easy fix for most folks, and it'd be 3 30-minute interviews with 3 Amazon employees. After that, you'd hear back within a week whether you're accepted or not for the opportunity. So if you are accepted, and let's say there was an immediate opportunity in a station that you were interested in launching in, the soonest that you would be able to launch at that point would generally be about 8 weeks. So what goes into that 8 weeks is 2 weeks to review the opportunity, 1 week of classroom-based training, formerly took place in Seattle. It's now fully virtual. A week dedicated to getting your first slate of drivers onboarded. A week of training called Operations Experience Week. So this is a bit more hands-on. This would take place at a local delivery station. And then the remainder of that time working with your business coach to make sure you're checking off all the right boxes, partnering with the right vendors, and ready for launch.
So I
Sounds
heard
intense.
8 and 4 is 12, and another maybe 2 months. So 14 to 15 weeks. Does that sound right?
Yeah, generally, if everything moves quickly. But I know life sometimes get in the way. So
Yep.
If you receive the next steps and you're not able to jump on an interview, that could push things out further.
And did you talk about a contract? Is there a contract then once you're like all blessed and you're good to go? Is there a certain time frame you're committed for?
Yep. So the program agreement, it's an annual agreement. It lasts for a year, but it's an evergreen contract. So as long as both parties uphold their end of the contract, it'll automatically renew at the end of the year.
I think logistically, limousine operations would be a really good fit for you guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 of the folks in my territory have limousine backgrounds, and they seem like they're a great fit. You're operating a lot of vehicles, and really, most of the folks in your industry are probably used to going it on their own without having kind of negotiated rates set up in a lot of facets, and not having to worry about sales or advertising. Certainly makes things a little bit easier for there, and you know what it takes to have a successful driver who's going to buy into the culture. So I think there's definitely a lot of parallels between the industries.
Mm-hmm. The driver training, those type of things, is a lot of that virtual?
So parts of it are virtual now. In the past, it'd be 2 days of classroom-based training. Each delivery station has its own on-site trainer, and that's an Amazon employee, and that's paid for by Amazon. So you wouldn't have to worry about that. But in terms of additional training, that falls on the delivery service partner. Usually the more that they invest in the beginning, the better. Pays off dividends later down the line. Some owners will set up cones in the parking lot. Some will trail them on the first leg of their trip so they can help troubleshoot issues. But however you set that up is up to that DSP's discretion.
So the average DSP, like Peter, how many vehicles do they have?
So you're considered fully ramped up once you get to the 20 route mark. With 20 routes, you could get away operating lean with just 20 vehicles in the beginning, but you'd probably want to add additional fleet or vehicles to your fleet, so you could pull things off or pull vehicles off the road for maintenance. Send out rescue drivers, scale up quickly if there's more opportunity. The opportunity is capped at 40 routes, so that would be 40 vehicles plus how many floaters that you have to kind of mitigate some of the risk there.
Now, I would imagine, just thinking down the road a little bit, as Amazon's business continues to grow, they'll create more routes out of the existing routes that they have because there'll be just more deliveries, right? So they'll have to split some of the routes up and create more additional routes, let's say. So if there's not an opportunity in your market, there might be at some point, with growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the goal is for delivery service partners to cover every single last mile delivery. So, we still rely on our partners like UPS and USPS and some functions. We've got Amazon Flex, which is like Amazon's version of like Uber for, last minute deliveries. But delivery service partners are the main vehicle that we want to deliver every package through. Solely because, they drive the most results. We've tried having Amazon owned drivers, and they can't compete with the DSP drivers. It's the highest level of customer satisfaction and on-time delivery. In terms of additional opportunity, there's a lot of growth within, our own last mile network right now. People are ordering more packages now than ever. In the future, we're going to be incorporating Ship with Amazon, which is kind of an expansion of our logistical arm there for other people to take advantage of our delivery services. Some DSPs are operating step vans now. We've got an e-bike model coming out soon. There's a walker model coming out soon. So there's a lot of opportunities for expansion in terms of kind of varied fleet.
Malcolm, has the Ship with Us got a launch date planned?
It got pushed back because of COVID. There's a massive influx of volume increasing. So I'm not sure when the exact start date is there, but rest assured, if you were to become a delivery service partner, there'd be plenty of packages available.
You had mentioned drivers buying into the culture of the DSP. How would you define that culture?
That's up to the delivery service partner's discretion. I mean, there's some things that you can't circumnavigate. I mean, you got to get the vehicles and make sure that they are safe. You have to do those vehicle audit inspections. The requirements for the drivers aren't very strict. It's 21 years of age, valid driver's license, pass a background check, pre-employment drug screening. So there's a lot of room for how the delivery service partner wants to develop that culture. A lot of our owners come from a military background, so they'll kind of echo that same hierarchy when they're building it out. But really, we've hired from every industry, whether it's limos, former high school, teachers or coaches. We've hired C-suite executives from Fortune 500 companies. So they take the bits and elements from their background and incorporate that into their own personal business. So I think that's what's kind of cool and exciting about the program. You've got 1,500 plus entrepreneurial focused folks all working together, collaborating, sharing best practices. It's a very inclusive environment too, which I was surprised by. I thought, last guy in would be the low guy in the totem pole, but people definitely help one another out because they realize, they might be the one needing a van last minute the next time around, and if the station's performing well, it's kind of like a rising tide raising all boats in that respect.
How is everything measured from Amazon's standpoint? Like, how are you going to know the metrics that we're performing? Is that part of your tablets and back office software?
Yeah, great question. So that's what's cool about this program too. You get to leverage Amazon's operational and technological expertise. So there is a weekly scorecard tied to your performance. It's centered around KPIs that you would be expected to be measured on. Things like safety, on-time delivery, packages returned to the station. And you're going to get up to the minute updates on each one of your drivers on how they're performing on all of these metrics. So you can offer on-the-spot coaching and mentoring if needed. It won't really come as a surprise if you're missing the mark. And if you are missing the mark, we're not going to just kick you to the curb in that situation. You are linked up with a business coach. That's a signal to them that you might need more support in this certain regard. We definitely want to pour more resources your way and help you out to make sure that you're set up for success.
Is there a trigger that happens when a metric's not met for a certain amount of time? Does that activate a business coach that contacts that DSP manager and says, hey, we need to set up an appointment. You've got this and this going on, and it's been 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, it's, that certainly does kind of set off a trigger if there's like a lagging metric that's kind of a common occurrence, but it's more of like a two-way conversation with your business coach. It's a true partnership model. You're not going to just kind of feel like you're being managed by the business coach. They are there solely as a support role. You'll also be interacting with the on-site trainer, the operations team at the station itself, the sort team. There's a lot of different Amazon leadership that you'll be interacting with on a daily basis.
So in our 25 minutes, we'll have you explaining, and answering all the questions that you just did. By having an operator describing their experience in the training process and being onboarded into the Amazon culture, if you will, how do you think we could best use that operator to support the information that you're giving? Like, what information are they allowed to provide, and what do you think that they could offer to our entire industry from an operator's perspective?
Yeah. So with the 25-minute window, I think it would be best to kind of just go through our frequently asked questions, and really for the owner operator to share their kind of day in the life experience. Hearing, me talk about the program from a high level, some people like hearing that, but most people are really dialed in when they hear from someone's actual experience, what the challenges were, what the successes were. That way, they hear it straight from the horse's mouth and they realize, what this opportunity entails.
Malcolm, do
Okay,
you
that's
have
perfect.
a frequently asked questions list on the website or something that you can email to us that we could take a look at?
Yeah, it's on the website. And if there are items on that list that you guys feel like people from our industry are going to be much more interested in, X, Y, and Z, send that over my way, and I can bring that to like my PR and marketing team, and we can frame these questions more so they're catered to your industry, so it's more
Okay,
worthwhile.
perfect. Well, Tracy,
Awesome.
I think he's answered all my questions.
Mhm.
Great. I'm just worried about the 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, we've been
I know
on.
there's so much information in this one.
He
Well, then-
started 20 minutes ago exactly. So
Okay.
when he came on, so I think it's looking good.
Right, but there's only 4 of us.
True.
Be firing away those questions.
Yeah.
We'll just have
So
to- whoever's going to moderate, sorry, this is kind of sidebar, but we'll just have to keep things going, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I was thinking before we could jump on this call is I was thinking once we did this and we went through our entire 90 minutes with all the different verticals, is there's nothing from keeping us and doing a follow-up like 3 weeks later or a month later. Here's a follow-up to our virtual show in November, and then we could have like an hour spent with Malcolm like a month later, depending, because I just think there's going to be a lot of interest in this topic, so we can always do a follow-up later on.
I think there's going to be a lot of leads for Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
Because I think that our industry, even if I look at my own business, I think it's a fit for so many of us, at least from our view. Because this is what we do. We deliver people packages, but it's the same idea.
And we're used to the 24/7 and the continuous grind day after day and hiring chauffeurs and, day in and day out.
Well, and Malcolm, this might be a wonderful opportunity if we choose you as a feature to be present at this conference, Amazon itself as a sponsor. And so that might be something to think about as well, because it is the livery transportation convention of the year. So, just a thought.
awesome. Yes. Well, send me over that information. I'd love to review it, and I can send that to my stakeholders on my end. And then I believe Scott, you brought up kind of the time constraint. Yeah, my suggestion would not be having kind of a live Q&A portion. It would just kind of be me running through the slide deck for 15 or so minutes, and then me bouncing questions off the owner operator to kind of offer a bit more perspective, and then I can just have a call to action and have a conference specific link that folks can click, and that way I can kind of follow up personally and the rest of my team based off where they're based out of.
Agreed.
Like you've done this before.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, I was on the road quite a bit, so it's fun getting used to these scalable virtual models. But not my first rodeo, thankfully.
All sounds perfect for us.
Awesome.
Alrighty, well, you have his contact info, correct, Tracy? All right.
Yes. Yes, so we will definitely stay in contact. We have our show committee, our show call on Thursday, and that's where we will be explaining what this call was all about and just compiling more details for this exact topic. And then I will email you with more details, more exact questions as to what you can hit on. But I just love the idea that you just stated, you bouncing off questions off of the operator, and kind of having dialogue between you and the 1 or 2 operators that we include in this topic. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, be happy to set that up.
And I'm assuming, Tracy, they would touch base ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, Malcolm already knows Becky. And Renzo, he was from his business coach or from his Amazon contact, Renzo was wanting to get permission to make sure that he could do this. He definitely didn't want to upset Amazon in any way. So Renzo's waiting for permission. He's down in Houston right now. But he definitely wanted to take part in this as well. And I think he's up to 17 routes right now. They're trying to get him to 20 by November.
Yeah, I'll check on the eligibility. We kind of do have a approval process for folks that can speak at public engagements. I would love to have someone that had previous limo ownership experience, but if it was someone else that maybe isn't from the exact industry, would that work?
If that's the best we can do, the really what we're trying to hit on is that the people that we've chosen are known in our industry and they're already trusted. And so that's going to be a benefit to you, because if this whole segment brings 150 new operators to apply for you guys, it's going to be because these people have integrity and we trust them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're attempting to prove that they've been able to successfully pivot to a new vertical to generate revenue.
Cool. Was there anyone else within your guys' ranks besides Dave and Renzo and Becky? Just because I know there's some like tenure kind of restrictions, so some of the newer folks might not meet that criteria. But if
I think those are the only ones that we are aware of.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Unless you know operators who want to throw out some names, maybe we know them. 'Cause we're
Yeah.
pretty small. We're a well-connected industry.
Yeah, that's what Becky said to me. She's like, "We're all in the know, folks." So
Yeah.
that's cool. Let me do some research on my end, and I can send you guys a list as well. See if any of those names ring a bell. And if Remzo's already close to 17, he might fit the bill. So I'll definitely check on his eligibility on my end too.
I mean, for us, we want somebody to be involved anyway.
Yes.
Somebody who's had more runway and more experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or another option on your side of it would be possibly that it doesn't have anything to do with us orchestrating this topic per se, but it's more so you bouncing the questions off. So you're controlling the conversation of what the operator is saying. So I don't know if that kind of alleviates a little bit where Becky would be available if you're controlling the conversation, but just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll run that by my marketing team too. That's a good point. That might work.
Here you go, Tracy. Here's the stuff.
Oh, thank you. Can you put my light on, please? Children.
All
Got
right.
them at work and got them at home, right?
Yeah.
All right, great, Malcolm. I think you're great.
Thank you for your time, Malcolm.
Yeah, I am very excited about this.
It's going to be a very valuable session for our operators.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate the invite, Tracy. I'll connect with you offline, but it's a pleasure meeting all of you, and looking forward to the event.
Great.
So,
Alrighty.
thank you, Malcolm. And if everyone else could just stay on.
Sure.
Hi, Malcolm.
Bye-bye, Malcolm.